Hello and welcome back to the third season of Distil-Nation NZ. I'm Tom.
Who am I again? What's going on?
Yeah.
It's been a while.
It has been a while.
It's been a hot minute.
It feels weird to sit down and do it again and say the words.
It's thrilled to be back, Tom. Thrilled to be diving back into the world of New Zealand spirits. There has been a lot happening.
Yeah, I mean, because it's been a couple months, really, right? And in that time, a lot has changed, and there's a lot of stuff that's come out. A lot of events have gone on and whatnot. But this episode's really just about going over what's happened in the meantime, and what we're going to do coming up in the next few months. Sort of
Absolutely.
thing. Yeah.
Now, you said you were going to write a song in the spirit of We Didn't Start the Fire by Billy Joel, just to do that recap. Did you get that one prepared?
Did I?
Okay, we're going to flag the song. But some might say
what you mean. Yeah, okay. Yeah.
Some might say the primary reason for us taking a break was for you to expand your family.
Yeah. I have a son now. It's our second, and he cries bloody murder all day and night. So I'm getting lots of sleep and lots of stuff done. It's great, as you can imagine. But he's good, yeah. And it is cool. Yeah, it's great. It's nice to round out the family. We're done,
Oh, I know that feeling. I know that feeling all too well. But yes, some would say, okay, so having a new baby and taking on a new business and driving the distillery and the shop and a very busy events calendar forward. Are you sleeping? Are you sleeping at all?
No. I mean, when I sleep, it tends to be just my body. It's just shut down. There's nothing left to work. But no, it's fine. 3 or 4 hours of sleep. Hey, what else do you need?
Sleep when we're dead.
Yeah, I mean, you've done some stuff in the meantime. What you had an event on? What happened?
I did. So I had my last event at Smoke and Barrel
For the year.
For the year, because now that was August. And I talked to the team at Smoke and Barrel and said, do you want to cheekily pencil in one more? And they said they are already filling up fast with people looking to book end of year work dues and all of that kind of thing. And, fair play to them. I'm glad that is picking up on their end. But good to bring that up. So the lineup, it was called No Smoke All Barrel, which was a bit of a play on the Smoke and Barrel theme there. And I got one because I reached out to Soren, and then Soren reached out to you, and so having all of those connections there, I had the Goletta, and that was really cool to be able to have that
From 1919. Yeah.
From 1919, their newly released sherry-influenced single malt, which was very, very nice. So it was a pleasure to have that pouring that on the table. I think.
Did you do the cask strength or the regular strength?
Because I am a nerd, I bought both the cask strength and the regular, but I was pouring the regular one on the night.
Yeah.
And yes, people loved it. Made a really good impression.
I heard good things. I had another event on that night, so I wasn't there. So I do apologize.
Oh,
but
hey, these things happen.
I always like coming to your events for sure. But I'm glad it went well. I'm sad that there's no more for the rest of the year.
Well, I mean, quick plug, diving ahead, that if you do want to have a classy whiskey, gin, rum, New Zealand spirits tasting, then between you and I, we can certainly make that happen through Spirit and Spoke.
Absolutely, yeah. info@spiritandspoke.co.nz. Get in touch. We can get it. We can make it happen. Cameron's always available for hire.
Yeah, always. Let me check my diary.
Yeah.
So yes, I have my final event for the year, but I will say that yes, I am in talks to do a couple of private end of year events, and those are always fun because people are always in a good mood, and it's a great chance to put together something perhaps on a bit of a different theme depending on their workplace, where they're from, their own personal tastes and what they want to do. We also had the Midwinter Festival. Midwinter session.
Yeah.
I was looking at the notes of when we sat down to kind of plan out the rest of the year, and I looked in my notes because we had penciled this episode in, and it said that I was going to go out and run some interviews at the Midwinter session and talk to people. I did not do that because from the minute the doors opened, we were slammed. It was a steady stream. So we, last year, we were kind of tucked around a corner.
Yep.
We did well. It was still busy, but whereas this year, the doors opened and the first face you saw was yours and mine and Ty's. And I think from the moment the doors opened right until they rang that bell and said, "That's it, last drinks," didn't really get a spare moment to do anything else.
No, I know. It was crazy busy. And you and Ty, you both just dived into it. I mean, you were head in there just selling moonshine. It was great.
We poured a lot. So we had. Now, we can now acknowledge a wee bit of what we have on the table here. So you made the maple cream.
Yep.
Special for it.
Yep.
You had a couple of, I can't remember what the other cocktails that you did were. One was kind of...
There was the Fajoa moonshine one.
That's right, yes.
And then the other one was the cinnamon moonshine one with the
cinnamon,
with
which
the
was
ginger.
A bit of gingery. That was a bit more autumn. And that one was my favourite. I really liked that one.
Yeah.
But
I was definitely the cream and coffee one. That was great.
Well, that's just it. You'd made what were you calling it? A white Canadian?
I can't remember what we called that. Was it just a white Russian I called it or something?
No.
But I should have called it a white Canadian.
It wasn't. I mean, it basically is a white Russian cocktail, but you weren't calling it white Russian.
No, what the heck did we call it? Oh, well, yeah.
But that, and see, everything else we have managed to batch make into the large vats so that we could just pour the tap, fill it up to the glass, but the white Canadians had to be put some ice in there, shake them up to give a bit of a froth on the top, and to chill it down as well. So, of course, the most popular cocktail was also the most labor-intensive, and when you've got 6 people that are all lined up wanting them, and you try and double up, and then you try and get I am not a pro bartender by
none of us are.
Any stretch of the imagination, and we had to wipe down that counter so many times because it was so sticky.
The tools when I got back here were disgusting. In fact, I can tell you right now, it's been 2 months, and there's still 2 things over there that are still soaking, and I just haven't got it right.
So you're not making the maple cream anymore?
Never again. It was a one-off. I just wanted to see what a cream moonshine would do. Obviously, people have asked for that. It's a cool idea, and it's great. It turned out great. It was a ton of work. It was super messy to make, and it was also really hard to just make sure it was super sanitary, obviously, because it's dairy, you know? So, I loved it. It was great. People loved it. I don't want to do it again just because of the amount of effort that went into it.
But you've got a wee bit left if somebody watches this and thinks...
No?
It's
all gone. This is one of the 2 last jars that are mine. Sorry.
Oh, okay. Well, that's that.
Yeah, and then of course, so that was one of the only really big release in the middle of winter there, and then we've decided to sunset the Mountain Roast coffee liqueur, which there might be 1 or 2 hanging around still. I'm not exactly sure on stock for that, but it's been fun for that one. It's just it just wasn't as popular as it needs to be for the amount of effort that goes into it, and that's fine. And then we had a dark rum come out, the Explorer series for 2024.
All right, so I'm always a big fan of your Explorer series because you never quite know what you're going to get.
Yeah, so this was a white rum. Well, it's a dark rum that was white that I got from the Caribbean, so unaged, right?
Hang on. I can't be the only one here. So it was a dark rum that was white. Can you just hold my hand and walk me through that one, please?
So dark rum doesn't mean barrel aged. Dark rum is referring to what goes into the making of the rum, right? So you can have a clear dark rum, and in this case, like it's sort of a darker flavor to it, like very deep, rich molasses. It's
So
usually
made with the molasses
Yeah.
versus the cane juice.
exactly, yeah,
Gotcha.
yeah. So it's usually a 100% molasses bill for that. These ones, we actually don't know which distillery it's come from. I know it's from the Caribbean, but it's been undisclosed to me.
Do you know the country?
Nope,
Oh.
nope. I have no idea, but it is actually an awesome rum. One of the better rums I've had, and in its white state, unaged state, it was super volatile and really big and alcohol forward. But sitting in the barrel, it was New American charred oak, and it's really rounded off into something I think really interesting. It doesn't have anything that says to me like, don't drink this. It's very inviting, It's deep and it's almost got a maple and the like dark caramel thing going on. It doesn't have any of that burnt rubber metallic smell to it to me.
No, it doesn't. But I would say that it's got a bit of like that conversation that we were having with Igor about Three Moons. It does have a bit of that dunder kind of.
Oh yeah, a bit of that,
funky.
bit of the funk.
Yeah.
Yeah. I wouldn't be surprised at all if they were using some dunder with this one. But I think it turned out really nice at 46%. It's an easy sipper, I think it will mix really nicely because it's not a subtle rum. It is a rum. It's a big rum, deep, dark, beautiful. So that's been an exciting release, and there's not a huge amount of those like we usually would have. It wasn't a full barrel or anything. It was a smaller amount that we got for that one, and we might do it again because it was quite good. And now I've got a couple. I've actually already filled one of the barrels up with, I think, single malt whiskey. So yeah, I've got rum barrels, which is nice to be able to reuse them.
See, now that's ingenuity, if nothing else.
Hey, yeah, you use what you got on hand.
Hey, yeah, this is chocolatey, vanilla. I want to say there's a syrupiness of some sort in there as well. And then, that kind of musty, funky kind of, which is very present in Ben Nevis, which whiskey from the west coast of Scotland. I'm not sure if we're allowed to talk about whiskey from other countries.
Dare you?
I know.
Just joking. Yeah.
But it's one of my favourites, and it too has a similar kind of musty, funky kind of note to it, and so I'm a big fan of that, and so. Yeah,
I get the sweet up front. That's sweet, and then as you get through that, then you sort of get into those more funkier, notes there.
And speaking of rum,
Yeah.
You had a big rum day at Spirit and Spoke.
Yeah, the first rum day. I thought it'd be exciting to showcase some New Zealand distillers for rum, which has never been done at that shop for sure, because it used to be gin only. That was in September. Yeah, September, and we had about 7 or 8 distillers over the course of an afternoon. Let's see if we can rattle them off. We had LWF, they were there. We had
National
Distillery
Co.
with quite a few rums, actually.
They had quite a few, and so it was nice to see them bring back their golden rum, which they had...
Port
They had brought that one out at the last Spirit. It was a big Spirits.
Big Spirits Day, yeah.
The big Spirits Day that you had.
Yeah.
But since then, they've got a white rum.
White rum.
And they also had expanded. They've got their new...
There was a new dark rum, and then there was a new...
the new lineup.
the big spiced... the big Kiwi line.
big Kiwi line.
Which the big 1 liter bottles, they're very cheap. Not cheap, I should say, but inexpensive. So that was a spiced rum. So that was cool from them. So
Lunatic and Lover. Last Light had a very big lineup there as well.
Which is quite cool. They're from Auckland, so it was really good that they were able to come down. First time in the South Island for them, and we're the only place in the South Island that has them at the Juniper Collective. So if you want some, come get it.
And I was talking to line 44.
Yeah, line 44.
And I said, "Oh, whereabouts are you from?" And Timaru. And I was just thrilled because I have driven through Timaru so often, and to have something like that it's got a touristy element to it, but it's also, it's creating a job, it's doing something else. I was loving that. And then I said, where in Timaru do you have those picturesque views out over Caroline Bay? And he said, no, we're in the industrial part of Washdyke. At which part I looked at him and I'm like, so you're not really in Timaru, are you? That's Washdyke, Timaru, that's yeah. And he, well, yeah. Look, we can.
So you pissed him off, and now he's never coming back again.
We can do a deep dive into geography of the South Island here. That I'm happy to do that. But I think,
jeez.
But it was really cool to see this rum brand that I had never heard of, which is relatively close by, and doing something quite fun.
Yeah, their rums are newer for sure. They've only just released them a few months ago, and it sounds like the plans coming for that distillery will be exciting. Number 8 was there with the pineapple rum.
Yes.
Yep, I've never tried that one from them. It's a really cool bottle and really nice rum. I think it's a rum they soak in pineapples. They soak in rum.
Yeah, so they get the barrel, they char the pineapple bits, they put the charred pineapple bits into the rum, leave it there to really macerate and soak, and it's just that real authentic pineapple rum flavour. Yeah,
and it's really nice, easy to drink that. And beautiful bottle, really make a good gift, that one.
Yes.
Russell Rum, they were there with their 2 rums. Am I missing someone?
Probably. That might just be an incomplete list.
That's all right. Yeah, but there might be one more. But
I think it served for everybody coming into the shop. Certainly for me, I had a fair idea of who was going to be there. But there were also some that I had never heard of. And I think people will genuinely be surprised at the number of rum producers.
Yeah, we're going to have to
New
deep
Zealand.
dive rum again for sure. Because after
most definitely.
Standing in that shop that day and tasting the huge scale of rum flavor it was quite an eye-opening experience. Oh, Herrick Creek was the last one, of course.
Come on, man.
Yeah, because like for this one I would say this is a pretty this is a I don't know how to say it, but there was just so much out there in the terms of what the flavors were, and I can't wait to explore that a bit more. So that was fun.
We're going to have to get somebody else on who is more knowledgeable
than us
about rum than us, and to really bring us through that, because there is just so much happening, and I'm willing to be educated.
Love it.
Gin weekend. You've also had the gin weekend since being off.
Wow, has it been that long? Eh?
Yes, it's been that long.
So that was August, and the big gin weekend at the Juniper Collective, 2 days, and we have about 5 distillers every hour. I think we would have had 25 to 30 distillers within the 2 days, and unfortunately Sunday was a bit rainy, and so it was a bit quieter. But Saturday went off. It was great. Trying to think like what sort of stood out that day, but it's been a while.
A lot, as we say, a lot.
But the good thing is we do these quarterly. The next one is November 2nd and 3rd. So come on down to the shop at 112 Cashel Street, and November 2nd and 3rd, 12:30 to 3:30, I believe. Check the Facebook page and stuff like that. We post the schedule. You can see who's coming. You can plan it out. You get a 10% discount on what's being featured on the day. They're really fun days, and it's nice to meet the distillers and see who's behind it.
I love that.
Yeah.
I love that. And getting a chance to hear about their story, why they're doing what they're doing, what motivated them to start a distillery of all things.
Yeah.
And then sometimes ask some nerdy questions like, hey, why did you release this at 40 versus 43% or something along those kinds of lines? And, a great chance to try something new, meet someone new. And in November, as we're heading in towards summer and the holiday period, peak gin drinking time and gifting. It'll be a great place to get sorted for summer.
Speaking of which, we will have a gift guide episode coming soon. So look forward to that one. That'll be exciting. That we've revamped it, and we're going to get it out a little bit earlier this year, so that you can help the spirit lover in your life.
Help you, and give you time to get prepared.
Yeah, totally. Yes. Yeah. What else?
Looking over,
we've got one more bottle on the table that we didn't talk about, which is the Lake Maree single malt whiskey from Herrick Creek. Those guys are doing a lot of stuff right now. Gosh.
That's with all that time you're not sleeping.
I'm really excited about this. I was going to call it Loch Maree because it's a single malt. I thought that'd be great, and it is called Loch Maree. But I know from everyone's experience with the Scotch Whisky Association that they tend to sue people for using the terms Loch and Glen and such. So
yeah,
and I thought I could probably avoid that fiasco right now.
Because as you say. Look, there are so many places across New Zealand and the South Island in particular that because they were Scottish settlers and Scottish farmers, there's lots of Scottish place names being used. So yeah, to have a Loch Maree, and even if it was made around the place of Loch Maree, knowing from previous, was it a German distillery that was... No, they weren't Loch, they were Glen.
There's a Canadian one. Yeah, Glen Breton, I believe.
And there was a German one that tried to cry Glen something or other, and
the Canadian one did win, I remember that, but they had to go to court and stuff, which doesn't sound fun, so yeah.
So rather to avoid all of that palaver...
Yeah, I mean, you look on one map, it'll say Loch Maree, another map says Lake Maree, so... Lake Maree it is. It's this really cool lake.
Okay.
If I can tell you about the lake really quick.
Go to the lake first.
Because basically it was created by a landslip sometime like 100, 200 years ago. And so what happened is it flooded the forest there. And so all you can see, it depends on the water levels and how much rain there's been. But as the water level goes down, you can actually see a huge amount of tree stumps in the water. And if you can't see the tree stumps, you know it's really high water, basically. But if you can see the tree stumps, you know it's really good. You can probably wade through where you're going down the dusky track, because it's way out there in Moose Country down in Fiordland. Now, this is a single malt, it's 100% barley, lightly peated, 33% peated, and the rest is unsmoked. And this was my first chance at actually aging in a full-size ex-bourbon barrel, which is really exciting. I actually nearly filled the barrel with my small stills, which is very exciting. So,
how many runs did that take?
I can't remember, but it was a lot of runs. It was a lot of mashing, it was a lot of grain, and it was a lot of time. And this was in the garage still, mind you. So
right,
yeah.
Distilled February through August 2022, aged in an ex-bourbon barrel. And yes, for people who perhaps are more familiar with the Dusky series, which is the corn whiskey, this is 100% single malt.
Yeah, and the idea for that is because to fill a big barrel like that, it's easier to mash single malt than it is the corn. I wouldn't have been able to do this with the corn just because the mashing process is so much more difficult. So anyway, after about a year and a half, I actually split the stuff out of the big barrel into a few different small barrels. There was a 100-liter ex-corn barrel from the States. There's a new American oak barrel and a used maple syrup barrel, which was a very small portion of this. So there's a touch of sweetness from that, and then you get some of the color comes from that new American oak, and then the 100-liter one actually it had its own sort of influence from these coffee beans that used to be in it, and it's come together in a really nice way. I think it's a really unique sort of. It's like, to me the peat doesn't hit me, right? Like, it's there, but it's like a whisper on the wind almost, the peat, it's like it doesn't show me, and then suddenly it's like, oh, what was that? It comes and goes for me, which I quite like that.
I've sat down for my own Discovering Drams channels, and I have recorded my review, but I'm yet to actually edit and post it. But I was getting the vibe that I was getting was like, and maybe it's because I had just had a slice fairly recently, but a really good ginger crunch slice with the sweet icing, and then the base of the ginger crunch was just a little bit burnt, just a little bit, because you got this lovely spicy, gingery kind of quality, a sweetness of that icing, and then, as you say, just a whisper, a faint kind of, oh, is this a wee bit burnt, a wee bit smoky?
Yeah, yeah.
So that was my big takeaway when I was putting my thoughts together on this.
I like that. That's very poetic. Thank you. No, I'm really happy with this, and it's our biggest batch of whiskey, obviously, to date. I've been able to put a little bit back into the barrel for continued aging, and we'll see where that goes. But yeah, if you want some, get your hands on it. I have done more of this mash bill in smaller barrels for the future, luckily, though, so I'm hoping to keep that one going. I really like that lightly peated single malt. So
yes, it's not a big hint of peat on the nose. And you take a sip, and then the smoke kind of pokes its head up, waves around a wee bit, and then dies off before the finish. And I've still got that sweet. Now that you say that you put it in a maple syrup barrel, now I can. That actually slots a piece of the puzzle in there for me. So that still lingers around, and it's the smoke is just this wave that crests up and goes. There's some peat in here.
Yeah.
Goodbye.
It does, kind of come across more on the palate for me, the peat,
Yep.
But, yeah, so I think this could be a fun gift for someone this Christmas. Or, yeah, there you go.
That is, so you've talked about discontinuing we're jumping all over the place a little bit here, which we did actually make notes, but,
You know how it is.
You know how it is.
But actually, before we go, I'll keep with the whiskey for a sec.
Okay.
There are 2 more whiskey releases coming for Herrick Creek
for
for 2024. We've got our Red Bloody Butcher Corn whiskey coming out at the end of October, which is exciting. You tried it a little bit, the tiniest sample.
The tiniest of tiny samples, yes.
Which I'm really excited about. It's unique. And we'll have more of that than we did our blue corn whiskey, so that's cool.
Oh, that's good.
And then we've got a very small release of 100% corn whiskey coming out in December.
Part of the Dusky series?
No, I'm calling this just corn. I'm just calling it corn because I've got a few of these other ones laid down that are 100% corn because the Dusky being corn, wheat, and barley.
Gotcha.
So I just kind of wanted to separate them slightly from each other. Yeah.
No, makes sense.
So 2 more releases coming, which is really cool. And then February, I think, is our next one, which I think is a Dusky. So, yeah.
Yes, I you gave me a wee sample and said, would love your thoughts on this, and it was enough. Just kind of, I had to nose it for a very, very long time, and then take that sip and hold it because that was one sip's worth. So, but
it's not as crazy as the blue corn one as far as flavors go,
No.
but it's still unique. It's still
yeah, most definitely. I was intrigued enough to certainly be looking to get a bottle for myself. Right, so you've talked about the mountain roast being discontinued, but
Yep.
there's also another one, and this one actually does break my heart a little.
Yeah, 9 Fathoms gin, my first gin. It was my second spirit I ever released back in 2020. Yeah, I've just decided that it needs to go on the shelf for now. It's a huge labor of love. I make it totally from scratch. It's 57%, so the excise on it is nuts. It tastes great. It's so hard to make and dial in just right with those 9 botanicals. And it's just right now with things being so quiet around with the industry, I just said, right now I just need to sort of take a step back on that. So we'll see. I'm not closing the door on 9 Fathoms forever, but for now, it's archived, I will call it.
I mean, you did also archive Moose Lake, and which has since made a comeback.
Speaking of which.
Yes. Oh, did you like that segue?
That was good.
Perfect.
God, it seems like a Herrick Creek update, this video. Yeah, Moose Lake. Well, we had the New Zealand Spirits Awards, right? And we had a lot of fun with that. The New Zealand Spirits Awards run by the Distilled Spirits Aotearoa and joined with NZ Spirits. And the idea is, how do you put New Zealand spirits up against world-class spirits, right? And so it's all this. Moose Lake, our dry gin, our just regular unsmoked Moose Lake won gold medal, which I got to say, well above my expectations for a 1 botanical gin at 40%. Really cool.
Do you remember the judges' notes, feedback on that?
They haven't sent it through. They never do. They always say they're going to, and they never send it back, which is a shame.
Oof.
Yeah. And then the smoked one did win bronze as well, which is really cool.
Did?
It's a super unique and weird gin, you know. I did send it into another magazine, I won't say which one, and the judges used terminology. They did send feedback for that one. I think I told you about this one. I think two of them called it peated, and Manuka smoke and peat smoke are just 3,000% different.
Those are not words that you can use interchangeably.
So it is one of those ones that I think a gin judge is like, how do I interpret this? They wouldn't know the difference probably between peat and Manuka smoke. It is what it is, But some people loved it, some people hated it, and that's how it kind of gets across. It's usually about a 70, 30 split, 70 like, 30 don't, sort of thing. And then our original Corn Moonshine won a silver medal, which I've never entered that before, so that was cool. So I entered only those three. Every year I send 2 or 3 just different ones to see what they'll do. And I'm really happy with that result.
A gold, a silver, and a bronze.
Right at the end of the Olympics, too, that came through, I remember. So there's a lot of good locals that have got a lot of good medals this year, beating out a lot of international competitions. So really good to see New Zealand Spirits really stepping up. A few double golds, that's really good. The list of gins was huge this year, just massive. And the whiskies did really well, the New Zealand whiskies. I saw.
So this is a blind. So just for clarification here, these are New Zealand spirits that are being poured blind against some staples from overseas.
Well, yes, sort of. So everyone will submit their whiskies, including people like Jim Beam and Suntory and Diageo. They'll submit theirs for judging.
All right.
And so, I didn't enter Lake Maree, but let's just say I entered Lake Maree. It could go up against a Bunnahabhain. You wouldn't know. It was, but they wouldn't be in the same category, obviously. But kind of. So anyway, they're blind. You wouldn't know which one you're tasting. The judges have no idea what they're tasting, other than the category. That's it. So, yeah, cool.
That's a big result.
Yeah, it is. It's exciting. A gold medal. That's my second gold medal. So in 4 years, which is really cool. So yeah, a gold medal is a big deal. I'm really excited about that. Just proves that people like a simple, big flavored gin. Simple. Yeah. I had something to go with that because we were talking about the DSA, the Distilled Spirits Aotearoa. I'm excited to say that I've been voted onto the board for this year, which we had our first meeting today, and apparently there's going to be stuff I can't talk about all the time because some of it's confidential. But that's, I don't know. It's not that exciting, so I don't know why it's confidential. But I'm excited to work on some stuff for excise relief and the conference and stuff for next year. So
we have had many conversations about excise relief, and I thought I was passionate about it when I wrote to the previous government when the excise tax was being hiked. And then I had a conversation with you and realized that actually, in the grand scheme of things, your passion around excise relief and your ideas for solutions far exceed anything that I had come up with. So I wish you all the very best in this role, and hope that there can be some solutions that come out of this that actually work for local producers and perhaps help to even that playing field when local craft producers are going up against megalithic distilleries that are importing their stuff. Yeah,
it's a big road ahead, but it's good to at least be able to be part of the conversation for that one.
I mean, speaking of the road ahead, and I'm forcing a segue out of this one.
Love that.
It's not a great time to be in the spirits industry right now.
It is actually horrendous, if I can be completely honest. Yeah. And it's not just like little guys like me. I've been reading in the Scotch whiskey emails and stuff that I get from the industry over there that they are absolutely been decimated The big guys are freaking out right now. Their sales are down. Nobody in their careers, except for like the old veterans, have ever seen a downturn before. It's just been gains, for the past 20 years, right? Everyone's been selling more, making more, and everyone's been loving it. It'll never end, they said. And I said this. Do you remember? I said this maybe like a year or two ago. I said it's coming down. Mm-hmm. It's coming soon. And I wish I was wrong, but it came.
And not just for whiskey, but for
everything. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Spirits. Yeah. So if you're putting your money out there, it's going to go a lot further with your local distillery right now than it will with an overseas one. Not that, they don't need help too, but they have their own locals,
Well, yes. And I mean, I was reading an article on this that said that Glenmorangie 10 has been the standard, the entry level for ages. It's moving to become a 12-year-old. While this sounds like great news for the consumer, what it ultimately means is that they are not going through the same volume as what they normally would. Mm-hmm. Cask is spending longer in a barrel, and so this is the first move to kind of signal that, hey, let's use up some of we're going to age our stock for a little bit longer, create a new, add more value for the consumer. In time, it may well mean that prices start to come down. Ultimately, everything is on a wheel, and we are going to see, we were at the peak and we've spent a long time climbing to the top, and it may well just be a cycle of going down, the wheel spinning around before things start to come back up again. So yes, there may well be some good news for consumers in that in the not too distant future, some of the bigger brands that you are fans of may well start to drop their prices. What I would urge you to consider, though, are the smaller craft producers who do not have the same kind of volume that they can rely on in order to make ends meet.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Yeah, it's just going to come down to that. But, I mean, if you're a fan of looking for your unicorn bourbons or scotches, they might start appearing more often.
And at
better prices.
And at better prices as well.
The secondary, will come down to, no doubt. That's the state of the nation, which I got to say happened really quickly, that crash. It was a bit of like a 1929 spirits industry crash.
Pattinson crash.
Yeah,
yes.
It just kind of happened, and everyone should have seen it coming for sure, but everyone's just got to adjust to it now and move forward. So, yeah.
All right, moving forward, what have we got on for the podcast for the rest of the year?
Dun 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 dun. So we've got a good chat with Rifter Gin.
Yes, we do.
Which I just want to say before you listen to that, Kenny, who we talked to, Kenny and Stu being the producer. Kenny's no longer with them at this point now, but he was a great chat anyway. He's a good guy. No hard feelings or anything there. He's just gone off to do different stuff, but that's a great chat.
Oh, that was a fantastic chat, and I will say also that was shortly after 9 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah. It's pretty early.
They said, "Right, boys, you're going to sample this gin." Well, we do it for the podcast. We do it for you.
It's hard work.
Is simply what it is. So when somebody offers you a gin at 9:15 in the morning, you say, "I will bravely do this for the Distil-Nation listeners."
Yeah. We've got our gift guide coming up.
Gift guide that you mentioned.
Yeah. That'll be fun. What else have we got going on?
We have got an award-winning mixologist to come and teach us. See, last year we went in with our kind of half-assed attempts at putting together an old-fashioned, and this guy is going to give us. So we're going to talk to him about his career working in one of, I think, easily New Zealand's best whiskey bar, and also some ideas to elevate your home cocktails so that you don't have to become an internationally award-winning mixologist like him, that you can just a couple of bits and pieces to help make some summer cocktails.
Yep.
We're also doing another history deep dive.
Woo! Yeah, actually, this is it's a really good one. I must say it's long, but it's really interesting. You've done the research.
I put in the research again, and some of it are liquor licensing laws. So if you have
That sounds
ever,
so exciting, doesn't it?
but it's one of those. See, I remember as a much younger man trying to would go to town on a Thursday night, but then around that Easter weekend, all of a sudden it would hit midnight, Good Friday, and they're saying, right, no, you're out.
Yeah.
You've got to get out. Yeah. And so I was talking to an American friend and said, no, you cannot buy liquor on Good Friday. And he's looking at me like, why? And I stopped and I thought, why? And so I did a really deep dive going back through 200 years-ish to find out why in New Zealand today you cannot buy liquor on Good Friday.
And it really comes around. It is a really good listen. There were points where even I said, "Where is this going, Cameron?" And it came back, and I was like, "Wow, that is really cool." So good job.
So and that will see us through pretty much to the end of the year. But we want to put this back out to you that if you have found a new local producer and you think that we should know about them, or if you are a new local producer and you would like others to know about you, please get in touch. We want to set up some interviews, have some chats, and start thinking forward to 2025 and continuing, but just because we're so close to the end of the year, it is a little bit scary. But we want to keep this going forward. So yes, if you have a topic you would like us to cover, if you are a producer and you'd like to come on and have a great chat about the spirits that you make, get in touch. We want to hear from you. We want to tell your story. We want to share your story with the good listeners of Distil-Nation NZ.
Absolutely. So you can get in touch with us on all socials at Distil-Nation NZ. You can also just get in touch with us individually via our other channels like Discovering Drams, Herrick Creek, or Juniper Collective. We've got Distil-Nation.nz is our website, and you can reach us at distilnationnz@gmail.com. And thanks for listening, guys. Thanks for coming back.
It's good to be... Hey, look, we might have been a wee bit shaky in there. First time in a while. Thank you for bearing with us. Cheers, Tom. Here's to season 3.
Cheers.